He is a real estate investor, age 25, has an amazing product that we're going to talk about, something that we are going to be using very heavily in our business.
Money had something to do with quality of life, satisfaction, stress. And so I really wanted to know, is this person making money and are they enjoying it? Are they happy? Are they satisfied?
How did you just give me some thoughts behind buying a Fourplex and the moves that you made?
Graduated college, got my job offer, and went to the bank and said, I don't have a job yet, but I have an offer, so I will be making this much money. And they pre-qualified me on that.
If you were renting from somebody, maybe it's a big corporation, it might be harder to get to the top, but I bet you can find your way. If you're renting from somebody, have a conversation, say, hi, I want to do what you do.
What do you hate doing in this process? Oh, I hate doing market research and I hate finding properties. All right, well, I'll go do that. So we would look for properties and find one and say, hey, here's this deal on a silver platter, do you like it?
It's just interesting that at such a young age you're able to formulate that and see the world in a long view, where a lot of people are just stuck in the moment. They want to go hang with their friends, they want to go party, they want to live in the moment.
If you just did that and then you bought one property a year for 5 years, you'll retire a millionaire.
Welcome back to the Wealth Juice podcast. As always, it's your boys Ryan and Corey here with another episode for you. We are out in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona for another episode on Immersion Season 3. Shout out Growth House and Jesse Ray. Today we are joined by Donato Callahan. He is a real estate investor, age 25, has an amazing product that we're going to talk about, something that we are going to be using very heavily in our business. But another sexy stat about Donato is he has 376 units at such a young age. So we're going to dive into his portfolio, share his story. But without further ado, man, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So kind of take us back. You have a very interesting story and I love it. But take us back for listeners who don't know you and talk about pre-real estate. What were you doing?
Before real estate, I was growing up in Iowa, following the good school, good grades, good job kind of mentality that my parents had done. So they worked at John Deere, and I remember going to college thinking, I got to make sure I make the most of this, studying biology at the time, learning about plants, and thinking, what am I going to do for the rest of my college career? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And it was after my freshman year of college that I won the scholarship that basically gave me a job when I graduated. That was I'm 19 years old and I've done the thing that I'm supposed to do in college, which is get the job. And I felt this overwhelming sense of almost emptiness. This can't be it. There's so much more I can do. There's so much more potential here. So I started learning about different ways that people, experimented and, took control of their lives and did some traveling. So I went to South Africa for a month, volunteered at a wildlife reserve, did 12 weeks in Montana, hiking, hanging out. 12 weeks in D.C., interning with government, all before trying to start my wealth building journey. And I turned about 19, 20 years old.
Love
That's
it,
where it started.
So this is so interesting. As every entrepreneur, real estate investor does, you studied what in college?
Biology.
Yes. Okay. Obviously, that's very correlated there.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny that you did the wildlife preserve and D.C. I don't think I can think of two polar opposite things to do. That's totally different worlds, but it gives you this worldly experience at such a young age. And you're about to be 25.
I'm 25 right now. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not going to fast forward the whole thing because I want you to tell your story, but just to give people the snippet, bought a Fourplex within the next 3 years have close to 400 units. Well, and then also started an amazing company. So I don't know if it was your journey of exploration into all these things that gave you some ideas, but maybe walk us through that. You learned about real estate and then you immediately, this is the thing here, took action and went and bought a Fourplex. How did you finance that? How did you just give me some thoughts behind buying a Fourplex and the moves that you made?
I would say the number one reason I've done everything I've done is because I've watched other people. So when I was a kid, I was absolutely fascinated by people in their lives, and very inappropriately I'd ask them, who are you? How much do you make and are you happy? I asked that all the time to people because all I knew when I was 10, 11, 12, my parents were divorced. I know very, very different lifestyles, different houses. I knew that money had something to do with quality of life, satisfaction, stress. And so I really wanted to know, is this person making money and are they enjoying it? Are they happy? Are they satisfied? Because I wanted to understand where is that kind of line of money, stress, and quality of life. So as I talked to more people as I got older, and they'd say, everything that went well in their life, everything that went wrong, I'd ask questions and say, if you could go back to my age, what would you do? Because I firmly believe that before you start anything, you should talk to 10 people that have been doing it for 10 years each. So right out the gate, you have 100 years of wisdom guiding your decisions. So when I did that, everyone said, man, if I could go back in time, I would have bought a house hack. Before I had the kids, before I had wife, before I had all these responsibilities, it would have set me up so good. And enough people told me that, and I'm like, all right, guess I'll go do that.
Data points are there.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the move you made? Like, how did you decide on, you didn't have any knowledge at that time. Did you
None.
you had the idea, then what?
So I got into real estate my senior year of college, and I was looking for ways to kind of expedite my training, so I joined a mastermind. And it was about wholesaling and some rentals, and so I spent my entire senior year running a wholesaling company, got some stuff under contract, and realized that my main priority was owning things, and that's where I learned more about the house hacking. So I knew I was moving to St. Louis after I graduated school. I was going to Boise State at the time, so halfway across the country. And I started calling agents in St. Louis and just saying, I am in college, I do not have money, but in 8 months I will have a job and I can buy something from you. They're like, great. So I got this one, shout out Paul, and he would just send me leads, every on-market stuff. And so I taught myself how to run the numbers on them really quickly. So like in 5 minutes, does this make a good house hack if I'm living there and the other units are rented out? And in doing so, I looked at about 70 properties or so over the course of 8 months. Graduated college, got my job offer, and went to the bank and said, I don't have a job yet, but I have an offer, so I will be making this much money. And they pre-qualified me on that. And then I used that to find a property that came online. It was perfect, made the offer, and got accepted, and actually closed on it the day I turned 22.
Let's highlight something that you glossed over. I looked at 70 properties. That's the thing I want to highlight, because Ryan and I have a mentorship coaching program, and we told people, it's actually funny, we talked to like 15 to 20. We say like, you're going to look at 15 to 20 properties before you're going to find one that works. And this is for a house hack, which the parameters for a house hack is, it's easier to buy a house hack and have it work long-term than to flip a home, in my opinion, or to buy a rental that cash flows. So the fact that you took the due diligence and the time to look at 70 properties, most people give up after 7. So that right there, the perseverance and the thought, like, I'm not just going to do this like as for fun. Like, this is your thing, And then from there, you bought the Fourplex. We don't talk. I want to actually talk a little bit about the numbers on that before we move into the next thing. What did that look like? Were you living for free? Were you making money when you lived there? Like, what was the situation like?
It's a stupid good deal. I'll tell you that. Yeah. It's a great deal. So I bought it on an FHA 3.5% down program in 2021. Interest rate was about 2.375, which is fantastic. Absolutely blessed with that rate. And when I bought it, it came on the market on a Friday night about 6 o'clock for $265. It was 4 units, 2 bedroom, 1 bath units, 1,200 square feet. When I got there, they're renting for about $400 to $500. I moved in, and after one other offer came in, I upped my offer to $270. Ended up closing at $270. So the monthly mortgage, everything was about $1,500, with the 3 units being rented out. Plus, I had my college roommate move to St. Louis with me, and then I rented him a room in my unit. So I was house hacking in a 4 unit, but
Inception of house hacking.
Yeah, but I had 4 units of cash flow, so I broke even right away. Now, 3 years later, with the unit that originally rented for $425 is rented for $1,375. So I have lived rent free as an adult my entire time out of college. Cash flow is $1,500 a month, and I've got 2 units in there that are Airbnbs. One that's a long-term rental, one that I'm living in, and I've been there for 3 years just renovating units.
So that I was going to ask to force appreciate it, or maybe not the entire property. I'm sure that went up in value too, but to basically get a $400 rent to $1,300, you fully renovated them, like live and flip kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we did is we did the kitchens and the bathrooms in each one, throw some paint, ceiling fans, and appliances, and then do that for each of them.
Okay, so you are the perfect person to talk about the power of your first deal, because if you just did that and then you bought 1 property a year for 5 years, you'll retire a millionaire.
Absolutely.
Without a question, you will. Now, that may be a goal for somebody. That could be something that people want to do. You didn't exactly stop there, but my point is that decision springboards you to the next decision. And my question would be, did you go buy another Fourplex? And I know what the answer is. So tell us what you did next.
So after buying the Fourplex, a little thought crept into my mind, like, well, 4 units is good. 100 units must be better. So I thought, let's go ahead and give this a try. And ended up getting invited from my old landlord in college who was getting into multifamily space. And she said, hey, I know you're into real estate as well. Why don't you join this program with me and let's see if we can do multifamily. I said, sure. So about 4 months later, I put together a team. We'd analyzed over 95 properties, got a lot of no's from the people I wanted to partner with, until we got an offer accepted on a 172 unit building that we closed on the following July.
Before you jump in, because I know you probably have a lot to say. So this is key advice for people that are listening. If you're renting right now, don't look at the landlord as an enemy of the place that you live, right? This person could be an ally. Every single real estate investor that we've ever met, 99% of real estate investors that we've ever met are willing to help you. If you were renting from somebody, maybe it's a big corporation, it might be harder to get to the top, but I bet you can find your way. If you're renting from somebody, have a conversation, say, hi, I want to do what you do, and I can almost guarantee that person will give you the time of day.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you did. Like, most people are like, fuck my landlord, like, this is bullshit, like, you know, and it's like, dude, that person is, one, providing you housing. Maybe they're a terrible landlord, and that could be a scenario too, but most of the time, these people are willing to help you out. I know that if one of our tenants said, in fact, we did have a tenant that was like, well, I want to buy a home, and we were happy for them, right? Like, we're like, go do that. So anyway, let's talk about the structure of that deal. Like, and I know you did another one after that. So you raised some capital for it. Like, that is how you got general partnership with your landlord to buy this property. Like, or did you find the deal? I'm blabbing. Tell us the situation here.
Yeah, so it was a syndication model. So that's how basic syndication, for those who aren't aware, it's basically a fancy word for pooling together money to be able to buy a big asset you couldn't buy by yourself. So my role in our small team was finding the deal. Because we talked to sponsors who in this industry, the ones who sign the loan, make the banks confident enough to lend you money. We talked to them and said, what do you hate doing in this process? Like, oh, I hate doing market research and I hate finding properties. I'm like, all right, well, I'll go do that. And so we would look for properties and find one and say, hey, here's this deal on a silver platter. Do you like it? They'd say, no, not really for these reasons. Key point, we would then change our criteria to what they told us they wanted, go find a new one, and bring that deal to them. And they'd say, well, it's better, but we still don't like it for these reasons. I'm like, okay, great. So go find another deal with the new criteria until finally they said, well, clearly you're not going away. And and we found one that worked. And then because I found the deal, we did the acquisitions, we did all the work up front, we got a piece of the GP, and then participated in the capital raise in a kind of admin support role to get on the general partnership.
Wow, man. I have a lot of thoughts here, as Corey mentioned. And first, I just want to start here is like, you're so young, and it seems like you've seen a lot of the world, and you've built a lot of relationships along your way. And you've seen, like, when I say see the world, like, you've had a lot of experiences that have helped shape you. At a young age, always, and I mentioned this, I think, on another podcast, I was so interested in people. I pictured myself like walking down the street, and I always wanted to see like a little speech bubble above someone's head to see their net worth. I'm like, man, like, I just wish I would know so I could ask the right questions. And the one thing that you added on there, it's like, who you are, what you do, how much you're worth, but then also, are you happy? Like, I think a lot of people forget that part, and I think it's just interesting that at such a young age you're able to formulate that and like see the world in a long view, where a lot of people are just stuck in the moment. They want to go hang with their friends, they want to go party, they want to like live in the moment, right? And like it seems like your vision was kind of deep at a young age. So I just want to point that out, which is commendable. It's awesome to talk to someone like you. And then we get into the data points. I think you've really honed your skill. We go from biology to data, which is so different. And you started analyzing 70 deals for the house hack that you have, right? You got under contract. Another thing, you didn't even have a job, which is like, you're just like, I think we're glossing over some things where you're punching through adversity over and over and over. Like, instead of just taking the no, hey, you're not ready, you don't have a job yet, you waited till you got the offer, then you went to the bank, you got the pre-approval. I didn't even know you could do that with just getting a job, which is really cool too. And so then you get it under contract, you get the property, you house hack it, like, you're doing some sweat equity. But then I carry us back to right now, which is so interesting. You move from 4 units to over 100. How did you go about the analyzation process, and like, what changed? Because we have a lot of people in our community and people that reach out to us in the DMs, and they're like, hey man, listen, like, I want to scale. I just don't know how to take the leap from small to large. And truthfully, there's a lot of numbers that come with analyzing a multifamily deal.
Absolutely. The first, talk about the mindset piece, and I firmly believe in the power of why not. In a lot of people's lives, whether they're given an opportunity, they're asked to do something, could be something that's fun or work related, the first thing that pops in their mind is, why should I do that? I had to early on pivot and think about, if I want to move forward in life, I need to have extreme velocity. And so why needs to become why not. Instead of you giving me an opportunity, I need to say, why should I do that? In that situation, I'm asking you to justify to me why I should take action. When I ask why not, the default is that I'm going to do what you just told me to do. And I'm going to take action on what you just brought to me. And now I'm not looking for reasons to do it. I'm looking for reasons to not do it. So by switching to why not, you say, let's go buy a 172 unit building for your second deal ever. Why not? We'll figure it out. And that just keeps compounding over and over again.
Would a prerequisite to that be the person that you're getting the advice from is someone that you want to eventually be like, I would imagine?
Yeah, so that's built on that piece of talk to 10 people who've been doing what you want to do for 10 years. So when that person's like, we've been talking for a while, you want to get into multifamily, why haven't you bought your first building yet? So when someone says that and not saying, well, why should I do that? How am I supposed to be the person that can go do that? I'm too young.
Would you mind giving us an idea of if you buy what was the number? 172 unit, and the partnership that you had, just to give people a frame here. What type of either cash flow or upside does that give somebody like you in your situation as a GP? Because I think that there's plenty of people out there that can hunt and they can find themselves in a similar situation. But when you listen to I own a 172 unit, be like, you must think, oh man, that person's making $40,000 a month in cash flow, which may or may not be the case depending upon the percentage that you own, right? That's a lot. But I'm curious, like, what does that do for you financially? If you're willing to share, and it can be ballpark, I'm just curious.
Part of my credo is being absolutely authentic. I know exactly what this looks like, so everyone knows exactly what they're getting into. So when you do larger deals like that in a syndication, for me, I was a brand new investor. They're typically split 70-30. So 70% of the deal and cash flow is owned by people who passively invest, called limited partners. 30% is owned by general partners who do the actual legwork. Of that 30% of the deal, all the active members take different splits based on their role. So I was part of a 5-person team, and we got 20% of the 30% of that GP for our work in the deal.
It's exactly the split that we got.
Yeah. Overall, with that 5-person split, then I had 5%, 20%, 30% of a $16 million deal. I was 21, 22 years old. What that meant is that when we closed the deal, I got a check for like almost 40 grand. No cash involved, just put my time in. I got paid to buy that building at that 5%, 20%, 30%. Then over time, as you own the building, I probably got $60,000 of depreciation. So all that was tax free. And then I get some cash flow along the hold. Not as much as if I was doing like the asset management piece. But then on the back end, that deal you make, double or triple of what I got in the front end. So right. 40 grand, 80 or 120 on the back.
Love it, dude.
That's amazing.
Great perspective. Because I think that when Ryan and I, our frame is like we own 70 plus units. It's actually more than that with our project here in Arizona. But when we say that, we want to be transparent. Like we own a percentage of several. We own some just ourselves. And like the short-term rental that I have is like $1,200 a month in cash flow.
Yep.
Sometimes that can be more than spit off more cash flow than an 18 unit in the front end, right? And then you have back end, like exactly. The money that comes to you. So I want to be transparent, make sure people understand the upside of this is so big and the rooms that you're in allow you to do these deals, but you're going to have to stack a few. You could be 100% owner of some, you could be 20% owners of another, and it's just like playing the game is so fun. So
it goes back to providing value, and we always talk about that, and people don't know how to do it, and they're like, what do you mean provide value? Like you went and asked them, hey, what's the thing you hate the most about your process? Mm-hmm. It's finding deals. Most people hate that, I would imagine. They're like the numbers, or they're daunted by it. They're like, oh, dude, like we got to make sure it's right. And so for you to be able to hone that skill set and lock in there, it's just, you can go into any room or any real estate investor mastermind or any room with people that are taking down deals and that's your skill set, dude, you're immediately worth a lot. And they're like, whoa, man. Like, so we'll get into deal analysis. What I want to say is one more thing I want to touch on for people that are listening. I keep honing in on the young age thing, and it doesn't really matter about the age, but you're so intelligent with the way you take steps and actions. To join a mastermind group, right? Like as you're leaving college is insane. Like it took Corey and I 4 years or 3.5 to jump into one after we've been getting fed the information from all these real estate investors. Like, dude, join a mastermind. You got to pay for success. Not pay for success, but pay to be in the rooms to be around the people you want to be like. And we're like, yeah, that sounds great. But like, we're investing our money into assets. as soon as we started dumping money into ourselves, it just took off like wildfire, dude. So I commend you. And I think I want to bring this up for people listening is like, join the mastermind first. Get around the people that are doing it, because then you can navigate the seas a little bit easier and you don't have to do this by yourself, i.e. finding a 172 unit deal and getting a little chunk of it. But you're honing your skills along the way. And now people know that you can do this. You can take down a portfolio by yourself. You can jump into deals and work with people successfully. And so it's just, you're getting your I guess it's your not your digital resume, but like your resume of you and like how you've grown over time is just getting.
Digital resume is next. That's what
we're going to get in. That's why my brain is going there. So we're going to help them get there. But so you got the Fourplex. We talked about that. You have the 172. You had one more big deal, I believe. So take us through that. And then I really want to get on to Bright Investor.
Absolutely. So after the 172, and I also want to be transparent too, after that deal, tried taking down another 196 unit building, right when interest rates are getting really high. And my team and I worked on that deal for over, I think, 13 or 14 months, and it didn't work. So not everything I touched turns to gold. We had a deal that did not work. We lost some money on the setup fees for all the things together, but that was the process, and that was reality. It taught me a whole lot more about what you need to do to be successful in the industry. So instead of taking that as a failure, got connected to my next team, and about 6 months ago, we took down a 200-unit building in San Antonio, Texas. Oh. And this Friday, I'm going to work on a $100 million portfolio, and I'm just looking at mobile homes. And when I look back on it, there's so many times that I've fallen flat on my face, and you got to look up and say, thanks, give me some more, and keep going, just keep going, and not take it personally too. Stuff happens, and it sounds weird to say, but I believe this strongly. Money that I make from real estate and stuff isn't really my money. It's just there. It's just cash that I can go use to do other things. My money is the couple $1,000s it takes me every single month to just live my life. But all the extra cash I'm not emotionally attached to it. It's like, okay, I need to put some money in this for a mentorship program. Sure, whatever. Mastermind, sure, whatever. For a new asset, sure, whatever. Because it's not mine. It's future me's money.
It's a tool. You're using it as a tool.
Yes.
That's awesome. Donato, you could have stopped there. You wouldn't.
Impossible. He's 25. Impossible.
So dumb that I said that.
No, it's not dumb.
But you could have stopped there. But you didn't. I think that actually the most impressive part of your story is the next thing we're going to talk about, Bright Investor. So we're out here in immersion, and Jesse sent us your product, and we were so busy in the weeks coming up that we were like, I want to look at this. I didn't get a chance to look at it. You did a presentation on it yesterday, and I was like, whew, this is like something that we're going to be exclusively rolling out to our community too. And like, it is top of the line. So I want to talk about like, what is Bright Investor? You went, you're biology, real estate investor, and now it's like you're like basically a tech startup entrepreneur. Like, you're living like a triple life at 25. So what is Bright Investor? How does it work? How does it benefit its users?
Yeah, so Bright Investor is a real estate software that's designed to help you never buy a bad property again. So when I was kicking it back for a second, I had just bought my house hack. I was getting into multifamily, and I was working my full-time job as a geospatial analyst for the Department of Defense. So I was doing all those things together, and I thought clearly what I need is a tech startup in my life. But that problem came from me trying to buy real estate nationwide and talking to my friends and colleagues in the multifamily space. And I'm looking at all these deals across all these markets, and I am burning 8 hours on a Sunday in the coffee shop. I can still see it in my mind, going to all these different websites, trying to get information, plug it into a spreadsheet, not being confident about what I'm doing. And like, how can I possibly say yes and start closing deals if I don't feel confident enough about being able to pull the trigger on these opportunities? That sparked, maybe I should build a solution to this. And when I met my co-founder, who had just finished 9 months working with Brandon Turner in Hawaii, and we had a conversation after randomly meeting on Facebook, and he showed me a demo that he'd built for a product that was identical to mine, that, okay, we need to go partner on this. And so that's where Bright Investor was born, a way to take market research, property data, and all the things you need to go find, analyze, and pull the trigger on deals in one cohesive place.
So part of your presentation yesterday was like eliminate the tabs.
I
just opened up my computer because I don't take the tabs off today, and I was like, I have a few for our business, but then I was like teaching people how to analyze deals, and I did the thing, Zillow, our calculator, rentometer, all these things that are up, and it's like cross referencing, and I don't think it's like super confusing, but the point about Bright Investor that made it so synthesized, it's like you can analyze a deal for several different exit strategies, boom, like that, all there in one place, and manipulate the data to show you different ways to get in and out of deals. And I was just like, this is something that it really is going to change the game.
Dude, I was talking to you last night. We were having some drinks over the fire, and I was like, dude, I feel like you just handed me the magic lamp. Like, genuinely, that is one of the most daunting things for me in the beginning as I was going through the process of becoming a real estate investor, was like feeling like I got the numbers. And even at the end of the day, when I was like, hey, it showed positive cash flow, I still didn't feel confident that it was the right. Did I analyze that properly? Like, and then I'm going back to my tabs, triple checking. It's analysis paralysis. Yeah. And I got stuck in it. And a lot of people get stuck in it, and they're like, sounds good, but you have this little bit of wealth you just saved and you want to deploy it into the right thing to make it build. And it's just a pain point that every initial investor goes through. And when we went through it, dude, honestly, I asked you after, I go, dude, I thought this pitch was you were looking for investors in your company. Like, this shit is going to be worth a lot, because we talk to investors every single day. That's what we do. And the number one thing they're like, I get the mindset piece. Like they understand that they need to take the leap eventually when we get to there. But they're like, the one thing that I can't get over is analyzing deals. I just can't figure it out by myself. Can you guys look over my shoulder? Give me the thumbs up. Am I good to go? And a lot of people within our program, that we found that's their pain point is, can you guys just, without not only the accountability, make me feel good about this, but can you just thumbs up me and be like, hey, is this analyzed properly? Can I go make an offer on this? And I want to break through all the tabs, if you will, but like all the information on Bright Investor. What really got me was, it's not just a tool for helping you analyze rental properties. It had 5 other features in there. And dude, with a click of the button, you could get spreadsheets out. Take us through all the facets of it. And I know it's hard for people to visualize because I know we're sitting down on a couch doing a podcast, but as succinct as you possibly can, let us know.
Yeah, so imagine that you're looking at getting a real estate for the first time, and one of the first hurdles you have is, where am I going to invest? What we do is help you find the best markets in the country for your strategy, and then go even further than that and tell you which parts of town have the best appreciation, or the lowest crime, or the fastest rent growth. So it's not just I'm investing in Columbus, Ohio, it's I'm investing in this zip code, in this street, because I know categorically this is the right area for me. Then we go a little bit further, because your next problem is, great, I have an area, what about the opportunities? So we pull in all the on-market and off-market deals that you can filter by all your personal criteria in that part of town. But then the next question comes up, like, okay, great, I have a deal, but what do I do with it? So we give you all the sales comps to show you exactly what the property is worth. Then we'll give you the rent comps pulled straight from Rentometer, so you know exactly what it rents for. Then we go to the insurance companies for you and get a quote on that deal, so you know exactly what your insurance is going to cost you, because it's such a huge pain point for people right now. Then we pull all of that into our pre-built analyzers that were taken and leveraged from some of the top real estate mentorship programs in the country. So in one button, you know exactly what this property makes as a long-term, and a midterm rental, and a flip, and a wholesale, all in this one place before we give you the phone number of the owner so you can get in touch with them absolutely for free.
Dude, I'm pausing here for a moment because this is my biggest, dude, I'm like, yes, dude. I told Corey, we were starting our coaching program and we're going through this journey together. And this is just like truly like managing our W-2 jobs, investing in real estate. He leaves his W-2 and I'm like, there's one thing that is taking the most time out of our day, and it's analyzing deals. I was like, I wish is there going to be an AI that just comes out that I can press a button, please, and just be like, have this thing analyzed? You took that to that extent, but then drilling it down to have the insurance included and just, I'm telling you, you have to see this to really believe it. And we're going to, for our students, we're going to be putting together modules where they can go through and get a training on it and have like a succinct, streamlined version of the Wealth Juice and Bright Investor kind of partnership here. But what I will say is, to have the full first experience of walking through it yesterday with your presentation, dude, I felt like there was nothing like that on the market. And I was just so shocked at, I guess we're at the inception of this, right? Because I feel like this is a tool that every single real estate investor should have in their arsenal. And I'm saying that just freely, openly. I feel so much more confident. One of my weaknesses I personally felt was deal analysis, because I don't want to spend the time to do it. It's annoying. And I not to say I pawn it off on Corey, but he's a little bit more analytical than me. He's great in the spreadsheets. And now I can help him like fast track our journey, and it doesn't have to fall all on him, right? And I know that, you say divide and conquer, give people what they're good at, but it just gives me the sense of confidence as an investor that I think you can't put a dollar on. So kudos to you for creating this thing. I just can't believe you had the wherewithal to go the layers that you did on this. It's very hard to put into words right now because you can't see it. We're not showing the screen, but you're just killing it, man. To the journey from biology to this is just, it's almost unfathomable to me. Can you maybe take us a little bit back to the numbers and like how you became so good with things and putting all the pieces together? Because it took years to do.
Yeah, so it was definitely a grind. It did not become magical overnight. So definitely put that out there. I have, full transparency, had the hardest nights of my life building this company. When you think, oh my gosh, this is all coming crashing down. We suck. Like 80% of the time, you feel like everything's going horribly. 15% of the time, things are okay. And 5% of the time, you feel like, woohoo, on top of the mountain.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And so it basically started with this question of, can I make this process faster for market research? And we did. And then we saw over 15 months of building the first version that was good. But then the very next question that people had was, okay, but great, but where are the deals? And so in talking to hundreds of people who are using the product, we got to very easily look at what do people keep running into as their next problem. Okay, can I solve that problem and the next problem and the next problem? And then keep iterating on what people actually want from our product. And so talking to users, doing webinars, bringing people in for their feedback has allowed us to iterate. The first version took 15 months. The next 4 versions took 16 months. And doing that over the last 3 years, and now after being on the market for just about a year and a half, has gotten us where we are today, doubling our year-over-year revenue, doubling our year-over-year subscribers, having our almost first 50K month. It's just seeing people who are so in love with the Bright Investor community and the brand and watching them go from immigrant mother who never offered on a deal before to under contract on our first property 30 days after using our platform. There's real impact happening out there, and that's the coolest part.
I got one. Yeah. You took a breath. I was like, am I ready? Dude, for me, another thing is like watching your presentation, the way you could succinctly explain everything. I just knew how many hours you put into this thing, and it wasn't something you just slapped together. Like you had some energy too, which was it. I love your style, but I believe in you, man. Yeah. And that's like a big thing for me. So that's why we kind of wanted to showcase you on the podcast too, is like, there's not just it's not just to go, hey, go try this product. It's like, who's running the product? Like, do you believe in the person that's doing it? You have a great track record, but to me, it's your identity is kind of built in with Bright Investor. I don't know how to really explain that, but like the way you carry yourself and your product is sharp, man. It really is, and it's not just a 5-second thing. You go online and you Google, hey, how to analyze deals, and you go and you get the wonky ones that don't work, and then you got to open more tabs once again. So I felt like I just had a complete dashboard where I could go into. What do you see as the iteration of the next kind of stages of Bright Investor? Where do you see it going? Yeah,
so I see it going into the entire real estate marketplace. So I'm really looking to work with property management companies because they work with investors every day. And so a lot of people will call the PM and say, is this a good deal? Is this a good area? Tell me what you know. And I want property managers to be able to say, well, here's a Bright Investor report. Here's this information, all in a really easy way for people to understand. And then doing the same thing with real estate agents, and then doing the same thing with lenders. So at some point in the future, anytime real estate is transacting in the U.S., it's being done with Bright Reports and Bright Investor kind of as a foundation. And ideally, I'm liking to build this up to over 30 to 50,000 users on the platform to help as many people as possible.
Well, we're going to help you as much as we can do that in our community and our network. I already know that and we can say that confidently because not only does the product work, but you work. And we've met you a couple days ago, and I can just tell this thing works. So I want to talk about maybe as we wind down a little bit. This is hard to explain how the product works over on a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. But if people can frame it and they can get it, once we show it to people, and this podcast is probably going to come out actually after it's rolled out, but we'll have information for you in the show notes and everything for people that are listening to the show. What is your overarching why? You're going to be 25.
He is 25. Just hit 25.
I know, I'm geriatric. I know.
Yeah, you are ancient, dude.
Yeah. Which is, it's tough. You don't have much left, dude. But like, what gets you out of bed every morning? And like, I know you mentioned where you see this going, but like, you had at 19 the wherewithal to ask people what makes them happy. Mm-hmm. To build a company is extremely difficult. Are you happy? One. And two, what is your why?
I think I am blessed and cursed with a perpetual living in the future. So I'm constantly looking at, what can I do now that makes future Donato's family, friends, and himself, satisfied. And I look around, and one of my large goals right now is, transitioning into, marriage and to fatherhood and going that direction in my life. Because I firmly believe that when you're young, especially, our age, things of that nature, you may not necessarily have that person, place, thing, or hobby that just makes your soul sing. But I know that the number one, number two reasons that people don't live a most fulfilled life is because of time or money constraints. And so as a young age, I know I want to remove any time or financial constraints from my decision to be happy with that person, place, thing, or hobby when it comes into my life. I want to be able to choose it wholeheartedly. That is one of my largest whys right now, is being able to say no to certain things today so I can say yes to everything tomorrow.
I love it. I think there is a dollar figure that you can get to that can give you freedom. And I do think the diminishing returns of exploding that exponentially, it's not worth it at a certain point. I don't know what that is. It's different for everyone, but I'll tell you, I was talking to I talk to you every second of every day, but like playing golf, hanging out with my girlfriend, that family stuff that's going to be coming, like there are things that are invaluable. And if we are going to be worth $20, $30 million, great. But getting to 70, 80 at the expense of that, it's just straight up not worth it. Like it doesn't make sense. So it's like you have to figure out where you're, not to get complacent, because your brain and our brains probably won't allow that.
Exactly.
But to figure out a way that you can be happy along the way and not look at somebody like Jeff Bezos and be like, I have to, just to accumulate things and stuff.
Yes.
It's like there's your life's going to go by really, really quick. And if you put your worth in an object, you're going to be empty. And I don't say that from having all the experience. We're not multimillionaires, but I've seen enough people work. I've seen enough people move to know that if you can do something that lights you on fire, something that you love, something that you can build the time in to enjoy with your friends, family, colleagues, and like people that you've met and love, it's a pretty good life.
Absolutely. And I know I would say that when I'm going forward and I do my apprenticeship program, so I do some one-on-one work for people who want to make that jump from single-family residential to commercial multifamily. So I have a very small, tight-knit one-on-one thing that I do with people. The first thing that we do in those calls is I ask them, what do you want? And almost always it's financial freedom. I want 25 grand a month, 50 grand a month. And I bully them. I sit there and I say, why do you want 25,000 a month? You're like, oh, so I can feel confident. Okay, so this number has no actual tangible impact on your day-to-day life. You feel that this number will make you happy. And the issue with that is we're gonna hit that number and then you're gonna feel that $50,000 a month is what makes you happy. And so I make them give me a whole write-out of how much do you spend on groceries, how much you spend on your children's education, what house are you going to live in retirement. And I force them to go line by line and build the balance sheet of their future. And my clients, oh, I love this guy, came back after his first week and said, Donato, I thought I wanted $500,000 a year. I physically could not find a way to spend more than $200,000 a year. Like, great, so we just saved you how many years in grinding for something you never actually wanted?
That's okay. First of all, if you're out there and you want one-on-one mentorship, there's not many people that are better to go to. So find Donato. I'm going to share a personal story. I don't think I've ever shared this on the podcast. I have a tattoo right here that says, keep your promises. And you mentioned confidence. Ed Milet has a quote that self-confidence comes from doing the things in the dark, keeping the promises to yourself, being who you say you are behind closed doors allows you to build confidence, so much so that you don't care what other people think of you because you trust yourself. And this is a little deep for this conversation, but that confidence that person was looking for has nothing to do with the outside world and what they're going to build. It has everything to do with, do they trust themselves? And are they who they say they are? So money helps a lot. Money can build confidence, but again, it's just a tool. And I think that it really stems from not caring what other people think of you because you trust who you are internally, and that only comes from reps and keeping the promises to yourself that in the dark. So yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
You guys are, whew. I will say, just a small anecdote, like yesterday, just a funny one about keeping promises to yourself. you were emphatically pushing that you had to work out. And I was like, dude, we got a lot of stuff going on. I don't think you're getting it in today. And he's like, no, dude, I'm getting it in. And we were about to head to bed. We just had the longest day ever. After like 6 hours of podcast, masterminding. Great day, by the way. I was like, man, we're just like, we're crashed out. I'm getting ready for bed. Corey's literally shredding 200 push-ups on the ground. Like he's like, and I look over and he goes, told you. I'm like, dude. And so like, it's just a little thing, dude. But he reads his freaking tattoo every day. Keep your promises to yourself. So very important. Donato, I want to say this, and I just, we've had a lot, like over 250 podcast episodes with people around the world. And like, you are one of the wisest young people I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm just like, I'm happy and blessed to be on the same couch, like interviewing you. And I want to remain in the same circle because just some of the things you've said today.
Can't escape us anyway.
Yeah, yes. Now you're stuck, dude. Sorry. Ask Jesse. But it's a good thing, man. We're building a little family here and it's great. And it's like, there's so many good people around this weekend. And I'm going to get to that point, but I really just want to focus on you for the moment. Like you've done a lot of things at a young age and but you're worldly and your brain thinks differently and you're training. I don't know how old the student is that came into your one-on-one community.
Mid-40s.
There you go. And you're 25 and you're coaching him through his life. And it's just interesting. Your brain works different. It's not so often you come across people like you. And I think it motivates us to be like, man, people are out there. Like those are the people we want to surround ourselves with. They're like, they understand the game of life. And we've had so many conversations this weekend about people that are, maybe they reached 40 or 50 and they've sacrificed a lot of their life and maybe gone through a divorce. And like they look back and they made a shitload of money and they're like, you know what? I probably would have gone back and done things a little bit differently based on what I know now. And it's allowed all of us to learn and not make the same mistakes. You mentioned interviewing 10 different people, asking about their happiness factor built in with the money. And I think that's very important to do at a young age because we're now internally doing this, not even thinking about it, but doing the same thing. It's like this guy that's made hundreds of millions, he may have not needed the hundreds of millions, rather kept the family intact. And I say this, I recently became a father and I mentioned this on a lot of the podcasts, but it's changed my way of viewing the world a little bit. I always thought I needed the fancy house, the things, the tangible assets, right, if you will. And someone asked me the other day, he was like, "Dude, like, are you rich?" And I thought about it. I'm like on paper, I'm not rich by any means. I'll just throw that out there. But like to some people, it probably looks like you have multiple houses, you have a nice car, you have that. Like you appear to be rich. Mm-hmm. But I've never felt richer than having my daughter and just like. I could stare at her for like 6 hours, dude, and just watch her run around, do crazy things. It's the weirdest thing. Like, now I'm seeing the world through another person, and like, there's something about nurturing and raising this person. It's the weirdest thing. I've had a baby, like Corey and I, our baby is our business, right? Mm-hmm. We've raised that, and like that's why we're so protective over it, and like very much vetting out the people we put into our circle because we're like we want to protect it and make it survive forever. And then I have the baby, so my life it's just so interesting. And what I want to bring up is. I feel very fulfilled in one side of my life. Like I have stability. I have a healthy family. I have a baby who drives me and my wife. And so I'm so good on that side, right? And I'm learning to foster that, but then also balance my purpose. And like I've always known at like such a young age, like I'm built different. As one of our boys, Devin Kennard says, I got that dog in me. And there's like, dude, there's other people. I look to my left and right, and it doesn't matter what age I'm at. Like as I go up, I'm like, man, they just like, I don't know if I fit in here. Like I feel different. And so it's taken me a long time to find my people. And like I said this yesterday, but I want to bring it up again. Like my wife texted me, and I'm actually saying this because Jesse's in the room and I want him to hear this. But like my wife texted me, and she was like, was it worth it? And like coming out here this week, and I was like, this was single-handedly the best decision I've ever made in my most recent years because I finally...
Besides getting married to your wife.
Besides getting married. But like, truthfully...
Good call.
Truthfully, for the purpose side of me, because I finally feel like I'm in the rooms where I'm supposed to be. I found my people, and I just like, I'm supposed to be here. And I always knew I would be here. Gentleman pulled up in the Lamborghini. We pulled up to the $2.3 million house. I'm like, dude, like, manifestation is real. Like, I had the pictures up about this. Like, I don't own these right now, but I'm around the people that do, and I just feel like I'm in the game, man. And it's different. And then it goes to relationship capital. I have not met a bad egg this weekend. Everyone's amazing. I talked about you. It's like no matter your product, like your story, dude, you're a great human being. Just like being around you, and like I want to invest in you. So I say that to say, throughout this weekend, we've all learned a lot. We've been on this like incredible like spiritual wealth journey together. Why did you pick Growth House Immersion? Like, why are you here? Why did you fly all the way here? And why do you want to be around all these people?
Well, this guy named Jesse just would not stop bothering me every day, trying to get me out here.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
But we got connected, and he had this kind of spark in his eyes, and I could tell that he really got inspired by other people's creativity and their passions. And so as we were talking more about my story and who I was, I could see the gears turning in his head. And he's like, man, I got some people out here that you have to come meet. Trust me, it's going to be super advantageous and you're going to have a great time. And so I thought, you know what? I'm coming off going to a wedding in Hawaii. Why not stop off in Phoenix and make this thing work? And I took a chance on it. And I would say Jesse put together a fantastic event. And I generally can double down on what you guys have said, that the people here have been so authentic. And people that you would be seeing on social media or on magazine covers and people you never imagine you'd meet in real life come to a place like this, and you can have conversations like you've been known each other since middle school. And I've really enjoyed that because usually my life is lived pretty nose to the grindstone. It's 18-hour days. It's me just doing my thing, and you don't really get this kind of camaraderie and coming up for air as frequently as I really need it. So this has been a chance to find the other dogs in the doghouse.
100%. Dude, that was nice. I will say, for those listening, you can't put a value on friendship, on relationships, and the people you surround yourself with. I genuinely couldn't put a dollar on this weekend. And I say that because as you go through this entrepreneurial journey, it gets lonely. And I say that you look to your left and right, even some friends, family members, you can't talk to about these things. And sometimes you feel like you're the only one that feels that way. And it's funny, there's 25 dudes. We all had various levels of net worth and different ages and stages of our lives, right? 25 all the way up to 60 and from 2 million all the way up to, I don't know, maybe 100 million. I don't know. There's some big dogs in the house. And we all had the same problems and the same things. And to be able to have, it was almost like a therapy session to me. And I was like, man, I just needed to get some of the stuff off my chest, give a guy a hug that is going through the same thing. And so I say that all to say it's amazing to get to know you, get to know everybody else that has been here with us. And thanks for joining us on the podcast, man. I think our relationship, this is just blossoming now, man. I'm so excited for what we have in the future. Congratulations on all your success. Bright Investor is badass. You're badass. And we're just honored to share the stage with you.
Thank you, man. I think this Wealth Juice podcast was definitely worth the squeeze. So I appreciate you having me here.
My man. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.